The headlines, the stories, the news. In-depth analysis of national current affairs. Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1.
Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. It's 7:30 a.m. and time for Freshly Pressed 981, detailed analysis of the day's national news headline stories. I am Ayo Myro Essay. Joining me this morning to analyze the stories, I have with me Divo Okore. Morning, Divo.
Morning, Lagos. Morning, AY. Talagwe, how are you?
Mm.
It's a cool food for all or food for some.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you very much, Divo. We have Tolagbe here as well. Good morning, Tolagbe. We're very well, thank you. Thank you very
Super.
much. All right, you can find us on Twitter at Smooth981FM. Use the hashtag freshlypressed981. You can also send us a message using our WhatsApp platform. That's on 0809 444 0981. Again, that's 0809 444 0981. All right, we'll go straight to our stories for today, and I'll be starting with you, Divo. Buhari declares Zamfara state no-fly zone over rising insecurity. This news story we're taking from Daily Times. President Mahmoud Buhari has declared Zamfara state a no-fly zone. Now, a no-fly zone, also known as a no-flight zone or air exclusion zone, is a territory or area established by a military power over which certain aircraft are not permitted to fly. This announcement of the decision made by the president was made by National Security Advisor Major General Babagana Monguno after a 5-hour National Security Council meeting presided over by the president. Divo, please break this down. What does this mean? Is there a time limit? It wasn't stated in this article. What does this portend?
Well, for those that heard bits and snippets of the position statement by the National Security Advisor Major General Babangana Mugun, it was quite articulate and eloquent. However, the question is, will such articulation translate to effective security? As we know, they were coming out of a 5-hour National Security Council meeting presided over by the President, Muhammad Buhari, in the presidential villa. And just for those who don't know or understand, the National Security Council consists of all the former presidents, as well as all the chief executives of state, that's the governors, as well as the heads of all security agencies. So it is a highly powered meeting that takes place. And what they did say, they had some position statements that they would not hesitate to use kinetic means to restore normalcy to the country, and that has to do with physical force when they have to enforce. Because as you know, for some time, what people have referred to as the government doing nothing has been the government strategy of trying to negotiate or find alternative means to trying to solve these problems. One would also question, why haven't they taken such measures? Why have they put not just Nigerian people but security forces at risk in the name of this strategy? However, the NSA did state that the intelligence agencies have been put on alert to ensure that the country does not slide into a state of anarchy. And I also question and wonder, it has been sliding since. So it's almost like, why are we hearing these statements after the fact? These are, if we did have intelligence on ground, what has been done up to now? Because you must account for what you have been doing. It's been the same administration at play. But I want to give the NSA the benefit of doubt because he's quite competent and schooled in what he does. Maybe this time round, because of security architectural reshuffling, he might be given more hand to be able to execute some of the strategies that he has. Now, what he did also state was that the president gave marching orders to the new service chiefs to take under control
Sorry.
to take control areas under the control of bandits, insurgents, and kidnappers. Somehow, this is kind of like the first time they're agreeing to the fact that areas have been under control of these people.
Yeah.
Prior to this time, it had been no, well, it had
Well, on
like
top
this,
of
like
things,
that. But
yeah.
now they're stating it categorically that they need to reclaim. It's the same way the Chief of Army Staff asked some of the troops in the Northeast to take control back over some of those areas that the insurgents had been under control in Borno states like Mate, which led to, the kind of response that came in Maiduguri at that time. Now, whilst we're dealing with insurgents, bandits, kidnappers, I didn't hear about the rustlers. Okay,
Yeah.
I also didn't hear about the killer herdsmen, who I believe all these names should all come under terrorism, because basically some of these actions, and also the issue of the food supply chain distribution, which is currently being distorted on the basis of some people feeling they've been maltreated, which is now coming off or is being perceived generally as a regional issue or an ethnic issue. These are all matters of national security, which I didn't hear anything about. And in the long run, because practically for the past 10 years, we've been discussing insecurity. So what's the difference now? Nigeria is bedeviled by three twin issues, which you cannot extricate one from the other: bad governance, inequality, and injustice. These are all national security issues, which I hope that when they come together like this and spend these hours, that they look at these matters properly to ensure that they translate some actions.
All right. Thank you very much, Divo, for that detailed analysis. We're really grateful. Also, something I did mention earlier is that we're up on YouTube. So go on to youtube.com/smooth981fm to watch and also send your comments. So, let's move on to protesters besieging National Assembly. They've demanded a report on social media bill, and this report is contained in the Guardian newspaper. Hundreds of protesters besieged the National Assembly complex yesterday to prevail on the Senate committee reviewing the proposed social media and hate speech bills to publicize its report on them. It's 1 year now it will be 1 year on March 9, 2021, since the public hearing on the bill took place. Speaking during the protest, convener of the Center for Liberty, Miriam Ahmed, said the protest was aimed at supporting the National Assembly and the federal government in the fight against disinformation and hate speech in the country, having done their own or conducted their own research as to how other countries tackle this. Yes.
And citizens' rights to freedom of expression, which I think we can all agree are very, very important, especially for a democracy. We need to be able to hear from multiple voices and opinions. So what's been going on is they've submitted a report which they believe can help and that can provide certain, ways in which it can be done. They've also pointed out that they've done some research, they've done some polls, and they found out that, the public is against it. And in fact, at the public hearing, which held in March last year, that there was, a considerable outcry and asking that the bill in its current form be scrapped.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure this headline, I hear what they're saying, but I think it's more civil society is doing its job of keeping these debates, ongoing, and letting the Senate, who at the end of the day are our representatives, know that, they're still under scrutiny and we want to see what's going on.
All right, thank you so very much indeed. I think that's what people are calling for: transparency. Carry the people along, provide enough information so that we're not, left in the dark. Petrol scarcity persists. Transport fares rise by 100%. This is a Punch article, but focuses on the city of Abuja and neighboring Nasarawa and Niger states, as petrol scarcity is said to have persisted yesterday, Tuesday, and provoked an over 100% rise in transport fares in many locations of the affected areas. And now, a few responses and reactions. One is the oil marketers, who have stated that the supply of petrol by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has been distorted. This is despite the fact, Divo, as we spoke about this, I think it was Monday, that they've mentioned that there won't be any price hike in the month of March. Also, the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, warns marketers against hoarding fuel. What do you make of this?
Okay, first, we need to also understand how this works. There have been an increase in crude oil price within the past 2 months. It's about $55 to about 66, which ideally should be a good thing for those who are into crude oil production, like Nigeria. So it means more revenue for the country beyond our budget benchmark. However, because we have not invested properly or maintained our refinery capacity, we don't enjoy the other end of it. So since we don't have that refining capacity, we still end up having to import our supply, okay? And that brings about, and you import not in dollar, not in naira. So that's where this issue is stemming from. Now, because there's also a semi-regulation, okay, was created, well, some kind of price modulation by the NNPC. Currently, NNPC is still the major importer. And they said on a usually like a monthly basis that they would find a way to balance off so that we don't end up paying subsidy. However, we're still going to have to pay some form of subsidy for the difference that's coming. Now, the independent marketers have stated that the supply has been distorted somewhat, and because the crude oil price shot up, they were also expecting some form of increase, because they're also claiming that the depots, they're not buying at 148 as before to be able to sell at 162. They're buying at 160, 162. So how can they sell? So the PPMC has said, well, that they have enough stock for 3 months. However, marketers, this speculation now led to different reactions in different areas. Like in Lagos, at some point, we saw a lot of panic buying. In Abuja, from panic buying, it has reached a level that the black marketers have come out on the streets selling as high as in between 300 naira to about 500 naira. In some locations, it's gone as high as 600 naira. And you know, once the black marketers come out, something is foiling their capacity. Now, also in Sokoto and some other northern regions, the price of fuel has spiked. Some market stations have shut down. Now, DPR has said they would enforce any form of hoarding that's taking place. We're yet to see how far that goes. Now, this also, when you have an increase in petrol like this or scarcity, also translates into increase in bus or cab transport hike, okay? Of which have hiked up to about 100% in many areas within the country. Now, the truth is, where's our real problem, all right? Because sometimes we always get rifled by the after effects, okay? Where's the root of this issue? Well, this is why the markets, and not just the markets, I think the general population of Nigeria who understand this, are pushing for full deregulation. Full deregulation is hanging on to the PIB, which our National Assembly has not passed. So our real issue, just like the people who went to confront or storm the National Assembly for the results of the social media bill, in quotes, we need to storm the National Assembly to ensure that they pass this PIB. They are suffering Nigerians simply because we don't have this issue when it comes to diesel, because diesel has been deregulated. So that's why you see whatever the price is internationally, we will see it going up, we'll pay it. When it comes down, we pay it. Translate the same thing to petrol. Now, what does that do? Not only does it kill the need for subsidy and under recovery, which is a wicked tool that the federal government needs to ensure that never happens again, because we don't have enough revenue, the supply gaps will be killed. Whenever each and every one of us are enabled to supply, everybody can bring in wherever they can at whatever price. Two, we will function at market price, like I've explained, and it will encourage the investment, the dearly desired investment in the downstream sector. Not everybody can function from the Dangote refinery. He is one person. It's supposed to be a free and open field for you and me to be able to, if we like, to be able to apply for a license and have our own refinery.
Thank you. JP says, good morning, Freshly Press. So it is wrong to say there is panic buying when clearly stock is being rationed due to an impending price hike. You can't give NNPC a loan FX in a full deregulation. This day newspaper, Tolagbe, NLC, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress, plans protest over bid to decentralize minimum wage negotiation. Another day, another planned protest. The organized labor is planning a national demonstration to protest plans by the National Assembly to decentralize the minimum wage negotiations. These decisions were taken yesterday at an emergency National Executive Council meeting of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Abuja. Now, NLC President Dr. Ayuba Waba told reporters at the meeting that the attention of workers had been drawn to a bill sponsored by Honorable Garba Dati Mohammed, a member of the National Assembly representing Sabongari Federal Constituency in Kaduna State. This bill seeks to move the national minimum wage from the exclusive list to the concurrent list in the 1999 Constitution as amended. So, Labia, what does this mean? And it does. It does.
Resources. And so what this bill is saying is that if the decision is made federally, it's impossible to enforce and cascade it down to the states because the responsibility of payments actually resides in the states. So what they're saying is pass this bill, allow Nigeria to move closer to true federalism. Because what it would mean is each state could negotiate its minimum wage, taking into account cost of living, cost of transportation, and the unique challenges that each state is facing. The argument is it would then be more realistic and more in line with what is actually going on. Now, so that's the argument being made by, the sponsor of this bill. But the NLC is rejecting this bill, because they feel that it is the act of what they call fifth columnists who are trying to derail our unity, masquerading as politicians. They feel that this bill is trying to railroad the legislature into removing the national minimum wage, and so that's why that's actually why they want to protest. They're also really concerned about the artificial scarcity in petrol. And so that's the other reason why they want to picket this particular week. The argument from their end is that they feel this will lead to a hostile industrial space with diminished productivity and national security implications. So we've got two sides of the argument here. The politicians are saying this bill will allow for states to make up their own minds and negotiate directly with their state chapters of the labor. And the Federal Labour Congress is saying that it's not going to work. They want to be able to hold and control the negotiations from a central point. I mean, there are many arguments, but you see, at the end of the day, what we're seeing here is there's a lack of trust. I would argue that it might be interesting. You see this kind of thing happen in other countries where you give a weighting to a particular area or region because the cost of living is higher. I don't know if you saw, there were jokes the other day.
Yeah. 400,000.
And it would go a lot further in the north or in the southwest than it would in Lagos. So you see, these are the debates, and what does money really mean? So I think that's really what's going on, and I think we watch with interest and cross our fingers that maybe there can be some kind of solution or resolution to it that might not result in a strike.
All right, thank you very much, Salagwe. Shagun says we want true federalism, but not when it comes to the minimum wage. So we ask them to decentralize security and the likes as for in the spirit of true federalism, and this is supposed to be, but it looks like they're opposing it and not quite buying that idea. Federal government invests 106.7 billion naira on second Niger bridge project. Guardian reports that the federal government has so far released that sum for the much politicized second Niger bridge, a project valued at 414 billion naira and expected to be delivered next year. According to what this report actually says, they're saying that 2022 second half is sacrosanct. They're going to deliver the completion of this bridge. However, here's what the head of corporate communications at the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA, who are the project fund manager, told the Guardian. Titiloko Olubi said that the federal government would fund part of the cost, while the balance would be sourced from the debt market. He added that its management company would be established on completion as the project would be concessioned. Devo, we're finally here. Finally, money has been released. A statement has been made that the second half of next year we'll have the fourth Niger bridge. A few criticisms. The second Niger bridge. A few criticisms here, Devo. One of which is local content, and I thought that was quite interesting. And this was made by, I believe it was the secretary of the Engineering Commission. The president of the Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers, Dr. Ken Yoshifala, who said the members were not involved, that unlike, other parts, for instance, in Lagos State, the Nigerian engineers, the Fourth Mainland Bridge, Nigerian engineers were involved in the project. But this is not the case in the second Niger Bridge.
Okay, before we get to some of the criticisms, I think the larger desire by Nigerians is for this to come to pass, okay?
Yes.
Then after we can shave each other's heads. However, what is good news about this is that actual facts are coming out, hard facts, okay? Because that's why they said the much politicized. Many people had said you had a lot of information on the social media that it existed, it didn't exist, the pictures were manipulated, it was photoshopped, but these are hard facts concerning the second Niger bridge, all right? Projected at a value of 414 billion. And they said the cost component is about 260 billion and another 208 to service. Remember, when you build these bridges without putting in service and maintenance, you're planning for it to fail. So that's what comes up about the 414 billion. Now, yes, the FG has released about 160, which is their aspect to it. The National Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, who's a project fund manager, will, in some ways, through market instruments, seek for the debt to complete the rest. So they have something to at least to take it to finishing state. I think the rest will come along the way. And they said they're not going to use the PPP method. However, they'll use other instruments. And one of them that they mentioned is that this is going to be the first toll federal bridge in the country after the Lekki Link Bridge here that we pay to toll. It's not a bad arrangement because infrastructure comes with a cost. And if you ask people to contribute in bits and pieces to it, as long as the infrastructure functions, I think most Nigerians would not have a problem. Now, in terms of a little basic metrics, it's about 55% completion. It's split into three phases. The first phase is what we're seeing now in Anambra. Second phase is the delta end of it. The third phase is the Obosi Enugu Onitsha Expressway. The second Niger Bridge will act as a bypass from Onitsha. So currently the Niger Bridge is from Asaba into Onitsha, okay, which currently creates a lot of traffic, even though it hasn't really been maintained.
Yeah.
But there's huge traffic passing through that corridor. So this will be a bypass to lessen the pressure on Onitsha. Two, with its 55% completion at its current state, it's projected to be completed in the second quarter of 2022. That is next year, July, hopefully. Now, they've said the sum is constant without any variation. I don't think that's within their capacity. But to the criticisms, while we need to thank the APC and this administration for its focus on infrastructure, I think they've only been bedeviled by budget constraints.
Yeah.
However, you would think that the government would support Nigerian-based engineers in projects that it has on its own. However, I think this is an ongoing battle, okay, of proving competence and capacity. Julius Berger is the one working on it. Julius Berger is more or less, Julius Berger, though a German company, it's almost Nigerian. They've been here for as long as even before our independence. They do employ Nigerian engineers. So even if they haven't given it to Nigerian companies, they've given it to companies, tested companies that employ Nigerians. There are different ways around this. And at the end of the day, the chronic position that this administration has not supported the Southeast will be contested
Yeah.
with the completion of this bridge.
Excellent. We look forward to next year, 2022, and we'll monitor, obviously, the progress of this construction. And now moving on to this day newspaper. Congratulations, Nigeria. COVID-19 vaccines have now arrived. Federal government steps up vaccination campaign this day. Yeah, deserves one. I mean, I saw one post, I hope it was a joke.
So I hope you registered.
Really? I registered last night and it worked for me, and I was just let me share the link with our listeners. It's nphcda.gov.ng, and you know, look for the portal where you can register. I know it's quite simple.
Are we entitled?
I think I will only be entitled like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Oh, really?
Yes, everyone is. It's just that it's going to be done in 4 phases, and by the time, yes. So, anyways, let me just let you know. So, the PTF, that's the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, took delivery of 3.94 million doses of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines. Mr. Boss Mustafa, who is the chairman of the force, took delivery of the vaccines and then handed them over to the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and NAFDAC for further processing. Now they're asking, traditional leaders, people to speak up, let's campaign, get people vaccinated. It's in 4 phases, and they're like, go out and get it. They've also assured Nigerians that they will work with the Federal Ministry of Health and the NPHCDA to ensure transparency, efficiency, and economy under the process. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's important that we give Dr. Kunjawela a shout out, because a lot of this was actually in her previous role as chairman of Gavi, which is the alliance that has helped to make sure that poorer countries also get the vaccine. So the Presidential Task Force, working with the Federal Ministry of Health, is going to roll it out. They want to start engaging stakeholders, the traditional rulers, so that we understand that the vaccine is safe and effective. And the chairman of the Senate Committee on Primary Healthcare, Senator Chuka Ukari, said that this is a very positive development, and he's encouraging people to sign up. And I know that, for example, there are going to be measures being taken, because of course not everyone can sign up directly. So MPHCDA plans to carry out a community-based intervention with health workers going even into the grassroots, helping people sign up, all the people that are in line with the risk factor. So they're going first with strategic workers, frontline health workers, of course, who have been working and need to be protected. This particular consignment is 3.9 million doses of the total expected 16 million doses that we will get over time. So we're going to start with this. So Senator Chuka Utazi wants to ensure that we get it to the most vulnerable. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, wants Nigerians to make themselves available for the vaccine. And the executive director of the NPHCDA, which is the Nigerian Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, says only eligible population 18 years and older, including pregnant women, will be vaccinated. And it's in 4 phases. They're starting with health workers, frontline workers, the COVID-19 response team, laboratories, obviously, because they've been the center of testing all this time, policemen, petrol station workers, and strategic leaders. So we're going with essential workers and key and strategic leadership within the country to start.
Yeah.
And Gabby, who I previously mentioned, the managing director, Tabani Mafosa, viewed this as a landmark moment for Nigeria so that we can begin to end the acute phase of the pandemic.
Yeah. All right.
It's important again for everyone to know that the vaccines have undergone the rigorous regulatory process. The difference and the reason why it was so fast is because they were not looking for funding. Many times, the reason why things take long is because scientists are having to stop, make funding requests, then wait and continue. So this time, with the concerted effort of the whole world, that's why the process was so quick.
All right.
WHO is also lauding the government for participating and reminding everyone that they are committed to protecting Nigerians. So this is a real cause for optimism. I think the future is bright.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Tolagwe. Thank you. Larry says, I hope that banner for inauguration and reception ceremony of the vaccines was a joke. We hope so too, Larry. Yinka says, so their Twitter handler went on to tweet that history has been made as we took delivery of the vaccine. What history? South Africa paid for and returned. Then they went to commission it again. What's all this? How much was spent on an event? All right, well, thank you all so much for your contributions, your comments, responses to the stories this morning. A big thanks to our analysts. Thank you, Tolagbe Martins. Tolagbe is at tolagbe.com, spelled fully. And then we have Devo Okore. Devo is at Devo Okore on Twitter. We are at Smooth981 FM. Use the hashtag Freshly Pressed 981. You can also watch a replay of today's edition on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Smooth981 FM Lagos. Don't forget, we'll be speaking with Professor Oyewale Tomori at 9 o'clock for Lagos Talks 91 special. And we're going to be understanding the COVID-19 variants as well as the vaccines. If you have questions, comments, or you'd like him to explain anything further, please make sure you stay tuned at 9 o'clock as we will be giving you that information. Before then, we have Locker Room 981 and Tega is back. Stay tuned.
The headlines, the stories.
Yeah, I have to increase it for Tolagbe. Thank you so much, Tolagbe.
National current affairs.
Thank you so much.
Bye.